Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. It seems we're entering yet another surreal chapter in this already absurd geopolitical drama. Vladimir Putin has now proposed a comprehensive strategic partnership with North Korea. You know, the paragon of stability and prosperity that everyone looks up to. Yes, that North Korea, the one whose greatest export up to this point has been, well, grainy black and white missile launch footage and an abundance of questionable threats to the world. According to the proposal in question, both nations are promising to provide military support to one another in the event of an armed conflict. That's right, Putin is now formalizing a relationship with a regime that can't even keep its lights on at night, all the while sending troops and weapons to prop up Russia's failing efforts in Ukraine. Because, of course, what Russia's crumbling war machine really needed was North Korean soldiers. Maybe they can share notes on how to effectively lose the confidence of the international community while clinging to a dictator-for-life model. For now, the North Koreans look like competition for the TikTok army from Chechnya. Yeah, you know the one.
되돌거나 주저하지 않고 맞받아 뚫고 나가는 완강한 공격 정신. 쇼위 동료 없이 끝까지 이어가는 백졸불구리 정신. 강함과 불굴성이 우리의 온몸에 맥동치고 있다. 세대를 이어 계승해가는 항위대.
Well, that was Steven Seagal's straight-to-DVD action movie level of cringe. Also, have you seen the guy breaking the chains? Did they just enlist Conan the Barbarian? Anyway, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky didn't miss a beat calling out this growing bond between authoritarian regimes. It's not just about artillery shells and missiles anymore. It's about North Korean boots on the ground, playing sidekick in Russia's tragic farce of an invasion. Zelensky urged the world to take this seriously, because if this North Korean support becomes official, it's not just a few extra guns on the battlefield. It's a clear signal that authoritarian regimes are beginning to form a military alliance. And it's true. Imagine North Korean troops on Ukrainian soil. Now you don't really have to use your imagination anymore. The international community will have to finally recognize the reality of what we're seeing. An alliance of dictatorships, standing shoulder to shoulder, in defiance of every democratic norm the rest of the world holds dear. Analysts like Alexander Kovalenko are already sounding the alarm, pointing out that if Pyongyang's forces start fighting in Ukraine, the world cannot sit idly by. It is a full-on de facto invasion at that point, and a stark reminder of how these regimes are willing to escalate in their own desperate bids for relevance. Ah yes, Russia, the land where victory is eternal, and reality is entirely optional. It's been nearly 3 years of this grand, ceaseless parade of victories, where the Russian army is somehow always advancing while paradoxically staying perfectly still. It's as if they've been caught in some bizarre time loop, endlessly winning battles yet never actually moving forward. Think Groundhog Day, except with guns, drones and tanks. Their progress is more philosophical than physical, I guess, advancing not in space, but in the minds of state media propagandists. And if you listen to people like Yan Gagin, advisor to the head of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, everything is just fine. In fact, it's better than fine. According to him, the Ukrainian forces are utterly depleted, their front is crumbling, and Russia's advance is, wait for it, incredible. Of course, he's making these grand pronouncements while showing off trophies from Vuhledar on the 60 Minutes propaganda show. Apparently, the Ukrainian army is so desperate, they will soon be drafting retirees, children, and maybe even stray dogs to fill their ranks. Or so the story goes.
Курская авантюра, она обескровила практически весь Донецкий фронт для Украины. И перебрасывая туда лучшие части, лучшую технику в Курск для этой операции, надеясь на то, что она действительно решит что-то в этой войне, наступит какой-то перелом. Зеленский и его генералы просчитались, они обескровили всю группировку на южнодонецком направлении, где мы сейчас просто с колоссальными темпами пошли вперед. Как раз если говорить о Курахово и Угледаре, мы целый год пытались подойти туда, потому что очень сложная обстановка, очень сложная география. На пути к Курахово и Угледару, как бусинки на нитке, находилось на каждой дороге несколько населенных пунктов. В каждом из них находились артиллерийские батареи, которые перекрывали друг друга, и наступая в одном направлении, ты попадал под огонь артиллерии из другого населенного пункта. И вот сейчас мы все это смяли. То есть темпы настолько колоссальные, что мы действительно продвигаемся достаточно, очень быстро. Мы в течение месяца взяли город, к которому мы подойти год не могли.
But what's truly incredible here is how, despite all this supposed success, Russia doesn't seem to be moving the needle on the ground. Their offensive has all the momentum of a rock sinking in quicksand. And yet, spirits remain high. Because why let facts get in the way of a good victory lap, even if that lap has you, running in place? Putin's imperial regime has truly mastered one thing: imprisoning its own citizens. Take the case of Alexi Moskal, for instance, who just walked out of a Russian penal colony in Novomoskovsk after spending nearly 2 years behind bars. And what was his crime, you may ask? Well, it all started with his daughter, Maria, a 6th grader, who dared to draw an anti-war picture in art class. Yes, you heard that right. An anti-war drawing by a child was enough to get her father slapped with accusations of discrediting the army. Now, the picture, drawn in April 2022, became the perfect excuse for the authorities to come down on Moskalyov. After 2 prior administrative fines for social media posts, they finally went after him, imprisoning him in March 2023. As for Maria, she was sent to a children's home, because clearly, in Putin's Russia, the appropriate response to a child's drawing is to rip her away from her own family. And Moskalyov's ordeal didn't end there. He attempted a daring escape from house arrest right before sentencing, fleeing through Belarus, only to be caught and extradited back to Russia. By August, he found himself in the Novomoskovsk penal colony, where he was thrown into solitary confinement 5 times. In his final words to the court, he read a letter from his daughter and made a heartbreaking plea. And I quote, "I ask for the harshest sentence possible, and for it to be carried out as quickly as possible, because every day my heart bleeds."
Я вас еще должен сфотографировать. Где-то уж тут. Вы от меня не увернете. И вот вызывали их, ФСБшники, разговаривали. И мне, этот военный подозвал, говорит: "Алексей, говорит, ты знаешь, говорит, вызвали твою душу". Я говорю: "В смысле?" Говорит: "Вы общаетесь с Москалевым?" Говорит: "Ну, да". Вот. Что он говорит, что, чего. То есть допрашивали их всех. А я только с одним только и общался, с другими ни с кем не общался, потому что доверять практически никому нельзя, это 100%. Вот. И вот они я так понимаю, что они хотели раскрутить, чтобы сказал такое, чтобы можно было еще навертеть.
So, in case you were wondering where Russia's true efficiency lies, it is not in military victories or economic prowess. No, it is in the ruthless oppression of its own people, all while claiming to defend its sovereignty and quote-unquote values. Yeah, what a legacy. And so we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates. I'm Jonasz Rewicki. Bye for now.